On the plains of northern New Mexico, there is a killer on the loose. The death toll is into the thousands, and still the police have no leads. But this serial killer's victims aren't human beings. The victims are cattle. The murderer's killing grounds center around Taos County, New Mexico. And so far, whoever, or whatever it is, has had the freedom to kill and maim, apparently at will.
First found it, I thought that it was just some of the local poachers trying to scare me off, making me think there was some kind of cultic activity or something. I didn't really think too much about it. I just drug it off to the dump and didn't think any more about it until later we got another one. And I'd been hearing about mutilations and so on, and I had a vet come up and take a look at it. And he just kind of glanced at it, says coyotes. Well, I've seen what coyotes do. They chew up things and make ragged edges and so on, and the cuts were real clean on this. Something cut it up.
This is a typical account repeated time and time again by his neighbors.
The entrails had been cut out, and something or somebody or whatever had made some clean, smooth cuts way up inside the body cavity and just very cleanly and neatly cleaned it out.
There seems to be a very precise pattern to these mutilations.
It was a normal day. I just checked my cows every morning, every day, and they were okay. The next morning I went to check them again. I found the bull dead at the corner of the fence. I've heard about it, but I hadn't seen it before.
I'd never seen an animal that had been cut up in that manner.
The classic mutilations is they come in and remove the tongue, the udder, and the sexual organs, and sometimes they take the blood out.
It's virtually unheard of to have any blood around the bodies, entrails around the bodies. That's what makes this so perplexing as a crime scene, and that's one of the true constants in all of this, is that people say there were no tracks in the pasture. This was in a locked pasture. Somebody would have had to go to enormous difficulty.
Well, they come in and take the tongue out at the base of the throat. They remove the udder, and they go back at the anus of the animal and remove it.
It looks like they've been cut with very high heat. They look like a cookie cutter cut. They're very precise. There's no ragged edges around them or anything. And most of the time when coyotes or predators attack a carcass, it's like they bite, they pull, so the tissue is torn around the edges. And this is not the case.
During the autopsies, strange anomalies were found in the bodies of these slain beasts.
Good, good.
It hadn't been cooked.
He cut into it, opened it up where he could look at it better, and he got something on his hands. It burned his thumb and his finger, and there was a kind of an acidy smell in the mouth of this one.
We found some strange yellow, clear, jelly-like substance on its neck, which we collected, put in an airtight film container, sent it off to Denver overnight. And when it got there, it had completely disappeared, and there was no trace of it at all inside the film container.
After you do your investigation, you find out that there's no entrance into the place other than by some type of aircraft that flies in. But you still say, well, they used some type of an aircraft to fly in and do this.
And injuries on many of the corpses were found to be consistent with being dropped from a great height.
It looked like it had been dropped from at least 1,000 feet in the air. Its horn was driven back into the side of its head where it hit on that side and drove the horn right back into the skull. Its leg was broken, its ribs were broken, and Officer Valdez pointed out on the back legs of the cow a band about perhaps 2 inches of indented hair on the ankles of the cows. He speculated that it had been grabbed from the air somehow and hoisted up by its back legs, mutilated in the air, and dropped back to the ground.
The ranchers are struggling to put the pieces of the puzzle together.
We don't know what to think about.
We've lost a lot of cattle. Cattle just disappear. And there again, I figured it was just the poachers trying to either scare me off or make my boss mad so he'd fire me, or maybe because they didn't get elk, they're eating beef.
And they aren't happy about it.
I think the mutilations tend to annoy them more than frighten them, because most of them it gets into their pocketbooks, and this is where they're making money, and when an animal's mutilated, that's money out of the pocket. It's a crime and it costs us money.
There's no compensation for these ranchers. They're taking a big loss. Some people have lost 20 or more cattle. That really can take a big bite out of your family income for the year.
And if they happen to be prize bulls that are even more expensive than the $1,000 or $2,000 head figure, then we're talking about a great loss.
So they get mad, they report it to anybody that's willing to listen.
I've not been offered any kind of compensation for any of these.
Well, it's a tremendous loss. It's a property crime that needs to be investigated. If we lost that many stereos at that, auto stereos at that cost, I guarantee you law enforcement would have some serious leads by now.
The curious thing about cattle mutilation is that at first, I know for myself, and just speaking for myself, not the department, you kind of think lightly of it, and that it's not really that important of a call. We get a lot of calls, and some are more important than others. But when you get at the scene and you actually see this animal on the ground, and you see that it appears that the eyes have been surgically taken out, or it's just kind of, it gives you a really weird feeling that there's some foul play involved. And as an officer, you want to investigate, you want to try to get to the bottom of it.
Some of the cattle inspectors are aware, probably most of them are aware of the mutilations, and we've had one that has been real good at trying to find out what's going on. We had another one come out, and he did look at the area real good where the mutilation took place, and then took the calf, and I never heard from him or got his report or anything again.
There is one district attorney who has been willing to stake his reputation on a thorough investigation.
I first became aware of the cattle mutilation problem in 1994. We had a significant economic problem that was going completely unaddressed. At that point, it didn't make any difference to me whether it was an airborne bacteria or a virus or whatever was causing it. It was a significant, almost a serial event in northern New Mexico, and for one reason or another, nobody was taking it seriously, and there were no answers, and no steps had been taken aggressively to get to the bottom of the problem.
One of the things that's really been a stumbling block for people like myself and David is getting the public and getting officials in government to pay attention to this and to acknowledge it as a real problem.
Unsurprisingly, most people's reaction is revulsion and disgust. Their impulse is to look the other way.
Word mutilation turns a lot of people off. I mean, if you hear or see something that you don't like, your first inclination is to turn your back on it.
Higher up, though, there appears to be a covert policy of obstructing any proper investigation.
It seems like there's always somebody above somebody else, and when they start making some headway into this, they get the rug pulled out from under them.
And I guess they're trying to keep it sort of a secret.
There's a possible cover-up here. I don't think it's on the local level. I think the fact that a DA is involved in it, flies in the face of any kind of conspiracy notions that people might be walking around with.
If the predator theory can be safely dismissed in most of these cases, what could be causing the damage?
The technology that I believe is being used is like a portable laser knife. However, this knife would have to be very powerful. I know that the military has this. They say that they have one that's very low frequency, which I don't believe, and I truly believe that they have the equipment to go out in a field like that with no electricity and use these laser knives.
The presence of a field-capable, portable surgical laser operated by dry cell batteries is also fact. This surgical laser has been developed at Kirtland Air Force Base and is operational.
Kirtland Air Force Base, unsurprisingly, was unwilling to confirm or deny reports of such technology. But Gail Stalin is not convinced that lasers account for the whole story.
We didn't have lasers back when this started in the 1800s, and the MO is the same back in the 1800s. So that tends to lead me down a path where maybe aliens did start the mutilations, but maybe we've learned some things from them, and our own government maybe is also doing the mutilations.
They're talking about something out of space, I guess. UFOs, and I don't know what else to think.
Some have noted that the killings do often coincide with sightings of strange objects or lights in the sky.
I've had reports of UFOs or strange lights in the skies, a number of lights moving across the sky at a very slow speed with no noise.
So there seems to be this odd kind of mix of craft in the sky and the cattle mutilations.
There have been, for as many years as I can think back in northern New Mexico and in Taos County, reports of lights in the sky, of UFO sightings and black helicopter sightings as well. We did ask a number of people if they could recall any such event 3 or 4 days prior to our arrival, and no one was able to confirm or deny that there had been any activity, airborne activity in the area at the time that the mutilation had evidently occurred.
Other investigators with a special interest in these cases are rather more circumspect.
I don't think the Livestock Board has ruled out unidentifiable flying objects, UFOs, or however you want to phrase it. I don't know that we haven't ruled out anything. We want to come to a conclusion, but I don't know that we can rule anything out at this time.
It is, though, true to say that this part of New Mexico appears to be a paranormal hotspot.
I don't know of any other area that I've ever heard of anywhere that has the variety of paranormal phenomenon and the intensity of outbreaks of these phenomena. You name it, they're here. We've got Bigfoot, cryptozoological creatures, witches flying on fireballs, platypuses found in high mountain lakes, cattle mutilations, UFOs, military testing of secret technology, underground bases, I mean, you name it, haunted houses, treasure legends, abductions. It all takes place in this one place. The very first civilian footage of UFOs comes from here, August 1948. Unfortunately, the government came and took it away, but not after hundreds of people had seen the footage at civic groups and church groups, so the guy who took the film would show it to people. So, you know, again, we're dealing with an immense area, 100,000 square miles maybe, I think would be fairly accurate, if you include the mountainous region around, surrounding the valley.
Gail Stalin recognizes other patterns to these killings, rather than just reports of strange objects in the sky.
It seems to occur during full moons and new moons, or within a couple of days around these different moon phases.
We don't develop too many opinions. We just work off of facts.
Personally, since I've started my investigation, I've been able to log well over 200 UFO reports, cattle mutilations, and other paranormal type events.
The sad part is we have not come up with any conclusion.
In the mutilation cases that I've been involved in, we haven't had any reports of strange lights or strange noises prior to the animal being killed.
So, as some sit on the fence and others can't manage to agree on a definite pattern of events, how can a proper death toll be established?
Usually the rancher drags it off to a bone pile, burns it or buries it, and just, that's it, out of sight, out of mind. It's the rancher that we really need to deal with here. It's not the people that are helping the rancher, it's the rancher. Because I have a sense that 2, maybe at the very most, 3 out of 10 of these cases are being reported to the extent where they come to myself or David or other investigators' attention. The vast majority, I think, are just drifting off into history.
There is one organization applying hard science and significant amounts of cash to get to the bottom of this mystery, the National Institute for Discovery Science, or NIDS.
NIDS does scientific research in domains that are not usually studied by mainstream science. So we bring, all of our staff are PhD level scientists. We bring expertise into these areas that previously have had very little expertise.
They offered forensic laboratory assistance, analysis, and chemical analysis as well. And they offered field agents for hard field assistance in the investigation of cattle mutilations. And I welcomed their assistance. It seemed to me at the time that they offered a wide range of committed and experienced disciplines that would be of great assistance in being able to answer the cattle mutilation question.
Usually what we try to look for is some evidence that the animal has been in good shape before death. Secondly, that a variety of tissues have been removed. Thirdly, not too many tracks around where the animal was. No evidence of say, scavenger predator activity. In other words, that the guts are not lying around the animal and there's not a mess around the animal.
So, have the scientists at NIDS managed to establish a possible alien link?
We have not been able to, so far, tie in any correlation between the lights, so-called lights, or the dead animals.
Indeed, have they been able to reach any definite conclusions?
At best, we're at the very preliminary stages of data gathering. We're not even into the part of hypothesis generation, because as the scientific method dictates, the primary function, our function, is to generate hypotheses and then test those hypotheses and then eliminate each hypothesis. We haven't even begun to do that. We've only begun to gather data. And the bottom line is to get 12 fresh tissues from freshly dead animals and then exhaustively analyze them from a menu set of laboratories around the country and then we can begin to generate hypotheses. So I would say that in terms of resources in the past that have been applied to the cattle mutilation problem have been minimal. The resources that we're applying are definitely a large step up from that, but the resources in terms of time have not yet been applied, because we would guess, several years of gathering data, because going to a 4-day-old cow is really information poor. We're not in the business of just looking at animals and photographing animals and guessing what has happened. We need to open the animal up by a qualified veterinary practitioner, and then step by step run through every single organ, do the appropriate tests, and then come up with the results.
The solution to this perplexing case, it seems, still lies somewhere in the future. Or perhaps it's closer to home than we thought.
This is very complex. If it was simple, we would have figured it out. Someone would have figured it out by now. There's been an enormous amount of energy thrown at this from a lot of people, and it's not that simple. It's just not that easy.
If you gather enough scientific evidence, sooner or later you will be able to understand it better and probably make a breakthrough.
I think that solid, scientifically grounded research using a sound research methodology can go a long way towards solving this question.
I believe that it's solvable, yes. I do believe it's solvable, and I think when it is, we're going to learn more about our government than we are maybe about, than we even want to know.
I truly believe that our government is testing environmental effects on the cattle. We eat cattle. Humans eat cattle. And the tests are coming back with biological chemicals in the tissue samples we're getting. Where does that come from?
The evidence that we've gathered is scarce. The lab reports are inconclusive, and we're still headed in the direction of trying to find out what happened.
As far as the cattle mutilation problem is concerned, it's open as an investigation until it's solved.
There's no escaping the paranormal activity, as after the break, Stranger Than Fiction asks the question, is the truth out there?